At the start of 2023, hopes were high that a much-vaunted Ukrainian counteroffensive, expected to be launched in the spring, would change the dial in the war against Russia. It didn't, and the prospect of a breakthrough in 2024 is also unlikely, military experts and defense analysts told CNBC. They predict intense fighting is likely to continue into the next year, but say Kyiv's forces are unlikely to launch any more counter-offensives. Russia, meanwhile, is likely to focus on consolidating the territory it has already seized, particularly in eastern Ukraine. Away from the battlefield, military experts said that the trajectory the Russia-Ukraine war takes in 2024 will mostly be dictated thousands of miles away in the U.S., Ukraine's largest military supporter, and whether aid declines in the run-up, and following, the U.S. presidential election. War is an uncertain endeavor, retired Army Lieutenant General Stephen Twitty, former deputy commander of U.S. European Command, told CNBC. Russia can win the war, or the Ukrainians can win the war. And, as you're seeing things now, if you really think about it, what has been achieved this year? Very little has been achieved by Russia, and you can say the same thing for the Ukrainians, he said. We're in this situation now where if there's not a clear winner, there's going to be a stalemate, and there's going to be, perhaps, a future frozen conflict. What can tilt the balance, in my view, is if the Ukrainians are not resupplied and they're not refunded and they don't get the equipment and people that they need. Then this war could tilt to the Russians, Twitty noted. A year ago, Ukraine's international military support was solid, with NATO pledging to support Kyiv for as long as it takes, as it defended itself against Russia's invasion launched in February 2022. Over the summer, however, the challenge facing Ukraine's forces was glaringly obvious as they struggled to break through heavily fortified Russian positions and lines of defenses along a swath of the 600-mile-long front line across the southern and east of the country. After liberating a handful of villages in the summer, Ukrainian and Russian forces have been caught in largely attritional battles, with neither side making significant gains. Ukrainian military officials have conceded that hopes and expectations of a great breakthrough in the counteroffensive were not met. Still, Ukraine's leadership says steep losses have been inflicted on Russian forces and that its forces have made vital progress in other areas such as the Black Sea, with Ukraine's audacious attacks on Russian bases and assets in Crimea this summer prompting the Russian Navy to withdraw a number of warships from Sevastopol, handing Kyiv a victory in the Battle of the Black Sea. Weather conditions are deteriorating in Ukraine, with mud, freezing rain, snow, and ice making offensive and reconnaissance operations challenging.